Have you ever shaken the hand of an older guy and their grip crushes you? They're otherwise a skinny old man, but they can lift insane amounts of weight with no training. That's old man strength, and it's more than just a funny phrase. In fact, it could be one of the biggest predictors of how long you're going to live. Research consistently shows that people with higher grip strength, a simple measure of overall upper body strength, have a lower risk of dementia, a lower risk of heart disease, and even a lower risk of dying from all causes. Grip strength is just a measurement of overall body strength. It could be anything. The idea is that people who are generally stronger live longer. I'm talking about the general population, not some sort of a strongman competitor, because you can also get stronger while taking steroids. But this is not what we're talking about here. The reason old man strength is associated with living longer is because muscle mass and strength decline with age. They peak in your mid-30s and late 40s as a man, and in your early 40s as a woman. People who maintain more muscle and strength must be doing something right with their physical activity and health, which enables them to maintain more muscle later in life. Having low muscle mass later in life is a predictor of death from all causes, because with low muscle, you're at a higher risk of diabetes, obesity, Alzheimer's, and falling off the stairs. And when you compare muscle mass and muscle strength, then muscle strength is a stronger predictor of mortality. That's why it's important to think about building old man strength, not old man muscle. The muscle is the byproduct of getting stronger. So in this video, I'm going to analyze the components of old man strength. What does it consist of, and how you can train it, so you too can be a jacked old guy. Alright, so what's old man strength made of? I would argue it's strong grip and strong forearms, strong back, strong legs and hips, and strong shoulders. Basically having strong muscles that are developed with functional activities. Old man strength in a colloquial sense is built by physical labor like farming, tossing hay, chopping wood, carrying stones, shoveling, roping fish nets, reeling in the fish nets, etc. You don't see a lot of old strong men doing bench presses or biceps curls. Now, it doesn't mean that these exercises wouldn't make you stronger overall, but the strong old men tend to be more formidable in a specific way. They have specifically very big forearms, strong back, and a crushing grip, which is built with specific stimuli that a lot of regular gym workouts tend to miss. If you don't have a physically active job like construction work or farming, then you have to build your old man strength with resistance training. There's no other way around it. It's not going to happen in of itself. Let's start with grip strength. I know it's a bit of a meme that grip strength is associated with longevity. It doesn't mean that just training your grip is going to make you live longer. The grip strength is just a way to measure your strength. And people who have higher grip strength are, number one, they're stronger, and they do things that make you stronger and healthier. It's still quite important to train your grip, as it makes you stronger in every other exercise as well. You need to know about the concept of irradiation, which describes the principle where contracting one part of your body, like your grip, is going to make the surrounding muscles also become more tense and stronger. That's why if you grip hard and hold tightly onto something, you're going to be stronger compared to having a loose grip. I'm going to keep it simple. To increase your grip strength, you need to train the squeezing or pinching motion, flexing or rotation motion, and the static hold, where you hold onto something tightly. Whenever you're grabbing or lifting something heavy, you're training all of them, but you can also isolate them specifically. Squeezing can be trained with heavy grip trainers like the Captain Crunch, or at the gym, these grip squeezing machines. I don't know what they're called. Pinching can be trained by pinching heavy plates and lifting them off the ground. You can also lift heavy logs or thick bars. The thicker the grip, the harder it is to lift it. Flexing or rotation can be trained by rope climbs, wrist curls, or the grip rotation machines at the gym. Static holds can be trained by dead hangs from a bar. You can add a weighted vest to increase the difficulty if you're already quite strong. Farmer's carries are also excellent for not only your grip, but also your traps and back. Forearms, reverse curls. Instead of a regular biceps curl that targets primarily your biceps, switch your palms down and do the curls that way. Shoveling. Shoveling or chopping wood is great for forearms. To mimic a shoveling motion at the gym, you can use a weighted bar or a hammer to rotate your forearms. Sandbag or rock lifts. Lifting a sandbag or an odd-shaped object off the ground is harder than lifting barbells or dumbbells, and it forces you to use more of your grip and forearms. Moving on with back exercises. Deadlift is one of the best exercises for old man strength. It trains your grip, forearms, back, hips, and legs to a certain extent. I don't think you necessarily need to deadlift, but if you do, you can expect a lot of gains. Pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, are amazing for building a strong back, strong forearms, and strong grip at the same time. Legs and hips. Leg strength is another marker associated with reduced mortality, which makes sense. Stronger legs equals stronger body overall. Squats are one of the best exercises for leg strength. Doesn't have to be barbell squats. It can also be goblet squats with a kettlebell, Bulgarian split squats, lunges, etc. They're all great for increasing leg strength. Kettlebell swings are amazing for hip power and mobility. They target the glutes and maintain speed, which also declines with age. Shoulders, shoulder press. Some sort of a shoulder pressing is important for everyday living because lifting things over your head is something we all have to do in some shape or form. Shoulder pressing with a barbell, seated dumbbell shoulder press, or even handstand push-ups are all things you can do. Kettlebell clean and jerks or snatches are also quite useful for shoulder strength and mobility. Old strong men do that by lifting hay, lifting logs, or something else like that over their head. Lastly, I want to cover the importance of joint health. It's as important to have strong joints as it is to have strong muscles. For strong and healthy joints, you need to focus on quantity of reps rather than intensity. Intensity builds the strength and power, but for joint integrity, you want to direct a lot of blood flow to the joints with good form. Think of doing dozens of bodyweight pull-ups and dips for the elbows and shoulders, and dozens of walking lunges and squats for your hips and knees. All of these exercises need to follow what's called progressive overload. If you end up doing hundreds of wrist curls and hundreds of dips or pull-ups, then yeah, you will get stronger to a certain extent, but eventually it's going to start to train endurance instead. That's why you need to increase the resistance to a certain extent by adding a little bit more weight, except when you're doing the joint exercises where you do want to do a lot of reps. Another critical idea I have to talk about is body composition. Yes, having more muscle and strength is associated with longevity, but if you're overweight and obese, then those benefits are diminished. A 2017 study on over 400,000 UK adults saw that although a stronger grip was associated with an 8% lower risk of mortality, a BMI of over 35 diminished those results, and it was associated with increased mortality independent of grip strength. The worst combination is obesity and low grip strength, but the best scenario is high grip strength and normal body weight. This is the pitfall a lot of guys fall into. They've been building their strength for decades by having a physically active job, but because of their other unhealthy lifestyle habits, like drinking alcohol, eating too much food, getting overweight and smoking, they're still shortening their lifespan despite being strong. Case in point, it doesn't matter how strong you are, if you're overweight and obese, you have high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and metabolic syndrome, your strength isn't going to outstrength your poor lifestyle, if that makes sense. Alright, let me give you some main guidelines for building old man strength. If you don't have a physically active daytime job, then you have to do some resistance training to increase your muscle strength and bone density. Otherwise, your bone density and muscle strength will decline with age. Secondly, focus on more functional exercises like farmer's carries, kettlebell swings, pull-ups, lifting odd-shaped objects off the floor, and mastering your body weight. Third, focus on building strength and power instead of pure muscle mass. The muscle mass will come as a byproduct of your strength training at a pace that is appropriate for your body size. And lastly, get stronger but don't become overweight or unhealthy. You need to also maintain good metabolic health to live longer. By following these principles, I've managed to improve my overall health from above average to the top 1% of health, based on hundreds of biomarkers and blood markers. Check out my video about how I did it next.